Hello, so in this video I want to go over basically why, and obviously from the very start I'm going to say I'm not going to encourage anybody to break any laws. I don't, condone it. But I want to explain to people, because I sometimes see this getting brought up in just random places online, why lots of guns that are designed as blank firers can't be used as a real gun, at least without like massive modification. Now, the main thing to basically go through on with this is how lots of the gun is constructed. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is what is like the gun barrel and all this made out of. So we're going to assume to start with, and it's going to get more complicated than this, that these barrels are like front venting, and they're not because they're the UK legal type. But these, we're going to assume that to start with, these barrels are ones that, had nothing blocking them. So firstly, even if you had a barrel like that, why would they not necessarily work as a real firearm? Well, how they construct most of these is, as you can see, the gun barrel is actually, and I'll zoom in on this so you can hopefully see it better, but the gun barrels are actually normally connected to the frame of the gun, as in like welded in and everything else. And the reason for that is simply so you can't easily swap the barrel out for a new one. But anyway, the reason is most of these are made from a kind of zinc metal. It's like, one of these composite metals with a bit of steel in it, bit of zinc, stuff like that. And they're specifically designed so that they can't put up with the pressure of a live round. So even if you had a barrel with no obstructions in it, if you tried to shoot a live round, it would probably blow the barrel, as the first thing. Simply because of the fact that, the barrels aren't designed for the level of pressure and I see a lot of people say, well, it can shoot a blank round, why can't it shoot a live round? Because there's more pressure when it's a live round, because with all of the propellant behind it, the live round is actually going to be obviously blocking, it's requiring force to push it, which is then putting more force on the rest of the barrel. It's the same reason that, if you used smokeless powder in old black powder guns, you can blow the barrel up that way, because it's just higher pressure than what the barrel and the metallurgy and everything was designed for. So that's the main thing. The slides on these are probably actually the closest part to a live gun, as in, like, most of these have the firing pin where you'd expect it and everything else. So the slides themselves, I imagine, might actually work interchangeably with a real gun if, it's the exact same dimensions. I don't think there's too much to the slide. Again, it's probably made to be weaker because it doesn't need to be as strong as a real slide. And the firing pins and things like that in them are probably nowhere near as tough as an actual gun that, has to cycle lots and lots and lots of rounds, shoot lots of rounds. But again, that's not really the problem with them. I think it's more, the firing pin would break easier, but I don't think that's going to be one of the weak points of it. But as I said, the barrels, even if not obstructed, tend to be welded into the frame of the gun, so you can't easily swap the barrel out, because I've seen people on forums saying, why can't you just, take the barrel straight out, put a real gun barrel in, or a length of pipe, or whatever. Well, because they're not going to fit and connect. And again, lots of this is going to get down to the gun control thing, like you have with deactivated and guns and that. The whole point of it is it's so much more work than either legally getting a gun in the country you're in, or, illegally buying it, I suppose, or whatever else. The whole point of lots of these things is they're made so, it's not an easy task. Recoil springs are pretty standard in a lot of these. Again, there's probably going to be pressure differences with them, because again, the thing I want to keep stressing with these is they are not meant to be, built to the standards of something you might carry to save your life, because that's not the point of these things. Now, the UK ones are what we call, top venting, not front venting, and there is kind of a safety appreciation with that, is that basically nothing can come out the barrel forwards. So most of them have these orange plugs in, but they don't actually legally have to. So here's one that doesn't have an orange plug in it, and what you won't be able to see from there is the barrel doesn't go all the way through. If I had a stick I could sort of show you that, but the point is that, the barrel, actually I could just use the firing pin from this other not firing pin, recoil sort of connector, but yeah. So if I go this way, look, that's obstructed there. If I go this way, that's obstructed there. So, yeah, you can't get very far in these at all. I think probably this whole section is just solid metal. So they're, again, designed so nobody can easily drill them out. You'd need, again, I don't want to say too much in these what you'd need, but the point is it wouldn't work, again, like we were saying. Because even if you had drilled through this barrel, say, with a really high-end drill, what you've got then is still a really weak barrel with no rifling and whatever. So that's obviously done like that. Now another big thing is the magazines. So the magazines work fine as actual magazines, no problems there. But what you'll notice with the magazines is they're only big enough to hold, so if I put that in the Mac, they're only big enough to hold a blank round. That's the exact size of a blank round there. So what I can actually demonstrate, obviously not shoot it, and I can't shoot it anyway with the lid off, but I'll probably have a fired 9mm here. Yep, there we go. Let me pop that in. So this is a 9mm that's already been struck and shot, as you can see, 9mm blank. So if I take the mag back out again, and I slide this 9mm into it, what you'll see is that mag is only big enough for that blank. Now, annoyingly, I've lost them, so I can't actually, and when I say lost, I mean they're covered in a load of shit somewhere on a desk. But with these blanks, and even if you had, like, you know, in the fired inert rounds or whatever, an actual 9mm obviously has the head on it, the actual bullet, which increases its length. So again, the point I want to get to is if you look at the clearance there between the magwell and, you know, everything else, you literally couldn't fit one with a 9mm head in the mag. You couldn't mag feed it. So even if we'd got to the stage of, you know, somehow having a barrel on it that works, you need a whole new magwell and mags for this, because the magwells aren't big enough for actual, you know, normal size mags. They've done that on purpose. So, you know, even with a round being able to go into, again, I've not got the slide on there to help ease it up, but probably easier if I do it from without the mag being in there. Yeah, even if, like I said, the round actually goes in, that has been designed specifically so it won't feed properly on this without, you know, modifications for an actual standard 9mm. And it would go the same for other blank fire calibers, you know, even 22LR blanks. Again, these rounds, as far as I'm aware, can be fired absolutely fine from a real 9mm pistol or whatever. They're designed to work that way around, but not the other way around. You know, so the blanks will work in blank firers and real guns, but real rounds won't work in the blank guns because they specifically downsize the magwells and everything so they don't fit. So that's the primary bits of it. It's basically that even if you had a front venting barrel, you know, oh, another thing I think to point out is, from what I understand, is if you're in a country with front venting barrels, what you might even notice there actually with the Mac, you can see that. You might be able to notice that this section is actually wider than this section. And that's so basically if a bullet was loaded in it, the barrel is actually too small. So I can probably, yeah, I can demonstrate that there, look pretty well. The barrel itself is way too small to shoot a 9mm round out of it. So even if you had your front venting barrel and everything else, not only would the pressure blow it up, but the round would get stuck in the barrel and blow it up. So you've basically, like, say if it's a 9mm, they've probably got a 7mm barrel. You know, like, it's just designed for the pyrotechnic effect and everything, for the gas to go forwards and stuff like that. And like I said, they don't legally need to have this in there. That's because I've bought, you know, brand new blank firers with, you know, without those on. I think it just depends on the company that makes them, whether they put them there or not. And again, all these literally are as like a wad of plastic. So over time, if you're knocking the gun about, they are just going to get scratched and, you know, eventually come out. But like I said, even if you've not got it in there, it is just literally a solid bit of metal in the barrel, a bit like a Diak gun, just without the cuts on it. Design like that. So yeah, like I said, blank firers are a lot of fun, but essentially they're designed on purpose to, you know, have very weak barrels that would need replacing, but then they're like built, like they're like die cast into the gun. The whole gun is made out of weaker metal than would normally be used in a full, you know, live firearm. So rather than it being like stainless steel or whatever, it's like a zinc type stuff. Again, I think the metal is used on some real guns, just not for obviously the barrel and lots of the strong bits of the construction. It would, you know, more have been used on furniture-y parts or, you know, bits of the slide. And again, you've got mags and magwells too small to hold live rounds. So again, what these end up being is basically, if you did all the modifications to them, there's really nothing of the original gun left, if that makes sense. The original blank firer left. So again, that's why they're legal in lots of countries where actual firearms aren't. And I think from what I saw in a video or read somewhere, the propellants used in a lot of the blank firers, although they're very loud and bangy and do have bits of gunpowder in them, they're not as like pure as real gunpowder or like smokeless ones. So essentially, you know, they're like inefficient in terms of pressure and whatever else. So it's also designed the other way around, so if you're in a country where you've got a gun, you can't simply buy blanks, you know, and try and put your own bullets on the top of them or whatever. They're designed to be, you know, much weaker propellant-wise. And from what I understand, because I've heard some people say it's, oh, because they put like real propellant in, but it's just like that much. I don't think it's that. I think it's that they fully fill them up. It's just a specific, you know, chemical mix that's designed to be, you know, pretty inefficient. So somebody, if they were trying to use these as actual gunpowder, would have to get a sieve and whatever, and, you know, like an advanced chemistry set. Again, most of these laws, like I said, are designed to be as tough as possible to stop people doing it. And that's why, you know, like slam-bang shotguns exist with lots of criminals all over the world and stuff like that. Slam fires, or whatever you want to call them. But again, I won't talk too much about that in case I'm breaching YouTube policy. So yeah, they're really good fun to play around with blank firers, you know, responsibly. When I say play, I mean, you know, handle it like it's a live firearm. Don't wave it about and scare people. But again, they are designed to be literally, you know, not a real, no, pull that down, don't I? Which is a bit difficult with one end. They are designed, and I've got, oh, yep. Listen, I don't know how much I, oh, I've left, no, not left the mag in. Is it because the other one, as much as it has more step, there we go, that's that one, slide back on, safely discharge that, again, nothing in the mag, so I'll just pop the mag back in. This one is a bit more complicated, but I'll demonstrate that on just the camera now, because it's sort of interesting. That bit goes in there, slides down. Then we have that bit goes in there where it fits into its little groove. Put that, get that there, that goes down there, the recoil spring. Then we want to put the slide back on, that goes through there first if I remember right, because in a minute we should have a slide with no sort of tension to it. There we go, and then we just need to force in this, and if I remember, you basically do this upside down, like so. Yep, there we go. Because that was the bit that took me ages to figure out with this one, how to put it back together like that. But they've actually got a cool, like, twist and lock sort of style design, so it forces the spring forwards to then, like, close it again. But yeah, so as I said, these are really good fun. I've got a safety on this one. Because this one actually also is double action, single action, which is cool. So obviously it's got the normal single action when the hammer's pulled back already. But it has got the longer trigger pull to make it double action, which is actually cool that a blank fire has copied that actual mechanism. So yeah, but as said, again with this one I don't have the mag handy for it, I've got it in the other room. I've got the other mag actually loaded with blanks just to ease the spring of it, because it's got a very stiff spring on like the 17 round mag or whatever was on this one. But yeah, the point is with these blank firers is that they are specifically designed, and if I had the mag handy again you'd see with this one that it basically be forwards like that. That, you know, they're designed so the mag can't fit real rounds, and, you know, the barrel is from a weak material, even with front venting, and too narrow, so it would explode in your face. So yes, the most damage if you just try to load a live round somehow into one of these would be yourself, because the gun would probably explode, and bits of this would come flying back, and if you're aiming it, probably take your eye out. If not, you know, wedge the slide into your brain and kill you that way. I did see a really horrible picture, I think it was from a Turkish Glock, like, clone exploding. I don't think it was a blank fire one, I think it was just a real one made with either, like, crappy parts, or somebody had put stupidly, like, hot loaded ammo into it. And basically the guy lost his eye, because I scream, the internal, you know, firing pin, sort of striker design on a, Glock, because it's not got a hammer, that whole thing came out like a big railroad spike, and like Phineas Gage, was it Phineas Gage? Basically did that to his eye. So yeah, the point is with these is blank firers are really cool for what they are, especially if you're in the UK where we've got lots and lots of laws that stop people handling things. I like these a lot more than airsoft in the sense they've got more weight to them, you know, they actually recoil, they're really loud. But yeah, they are specifically designed to make it as hard as possible, to the point you'd be cutting these apart, welding new bits onto them, You know, I'd think the most use you'd get of these, and I don't think this is anything illegal here, I'm just sort of saying for people who live in countries where they can legally own the guns, is if they're close enough to a 1-1 replica in lots of the bits to a real firearm, they might be cheaper for spare parts if you ever needed things like, you know, maybe like the slide catch and stuff like that. That's the closest I could see these, you know, coming to be a real gun. In the sense that, and again, on this video I might just disable the comments, because I'm always wary on a video like this. You might start getting people trying to put links in or, you know, suggest other illegal stuff you could do, which, you know, again, I want this video to be educational to the point of why it doesn't work, but not telling people how to evade certain laws and everything else. So hopefully you found that interesting. As said, just to repeat, I do not, you know, condone or encourage anybody to do any stupid modifications to these. Like I said, the most I've ever modified one of these is just taking out a slightly damaged tip from it, and as I said, the barrel is still plugged, the plastic bit, because if that plastic bit in there was the only bit blocking the barrel, the first time you shot a blank it would fly out. And as I said, lots of these legally can just come without them. It's just some manufacturers choose to do it just to make it more obvious to people, a bit like, you know, the orange tip on an airsoft gun in America. It's not a live firearm. And again, these have to be two-tone unless you're getting them with a UCARA or whatever in the UK, but I don't actually mind the two-tone colours to a lot of these because they are kind of like a very greyish blue. They actually look quite nice for a two-tone. So there you go. That's an Ecol, that's a Rete, they're both Turkish companies. I've got an Italian 1911 clone as well. That's alright, but again, that one doesn't cycle as well as... yeah, I think weirdly my best cycling one of all the blank guns I've got is the Glock, which is actually my least favourite to shoot because it doesn't fit my hand very well. And I don't like the safety on the Glock with, you know, like the kind of double trigger thing rather than an actual, you know, physical mechanical safety like on these. But yeah, there you go. So hope you found that informative, and as I said, don't break any laws, but that's informed you if you didn't know why you can't easily just get one of these, you know, swap a part out and suddenly have a live gun. Doesn't work like that.